Hello and a wonderful good morning here from Salzburg. Welcome everybody to our webinar, How to Scan. So first of all, unfortunately, Henrik got sick, but I have Luca here on my side today. He jumped in. Thanks a lot, Luca.
Yeah, I'm very happy to jump in for Henrik. I'm the Chief Product Officer and so the responsible for the product development. I'm happy to assist Martin here to show all of you how to best use our scan app.
Yeah, thanks, Luca. My name is Martin Huber. I'm the CEO here, and we are very happy and keen to show you some of our latest features. Actually, some of them have been released last Friday.
Exactly.
So even for users that already do experience and know Metaroom, we have something new for you today. Nevertheless, we will start the whole scan journey, begin with simple cases, and we work up to a multi-level, multi-room model together. So some exciting news today. Maybe some housekeeping at the beginning. We try to collect all of your questions, and we have an FAQ at the end of our webinar, and we will try to jump into every question in detail after the presentation. What we have prepared for you is a scan here of our office, and we will go through this scan together with you. We will explain all of the features we provide today, and we will do an in-depth discussion on how to perform the best possible scan. So let's not lose any time and jump into this. We are sitting here in Salzburg. Actually, weather looks exactly as in the picture. Unfortunately, snow also has gone, so that's also right in the picture. We are here at Metaroom with 24 employees, very R&D focused company. And we do one product today, and that's the Metaroom platform, consisting of the Metaroom Scan app and Metaroom Workspace. Talking about Metaroom Workspace, we will not jump into this too much today. We will only focus on the scan part, as every successful journey of our customers starts with a good scan. So we will fully focus on this. When it comes to scan preparation, then in general, we can say that the more light you have in the room, the better. So this means that if you have the possibility to turn on all of the artificial light, that always helps. Also, please open all shadings and curtains to let in natural light. Also, and I also not always do this on my own, but it really helps to clean the camera lens and also the lidar sensor, which is basically the cameras here and the lidar sensor here on the phone on the back side. So with
keep them clean to get good results. Every photographer knows what you're talking about.
Exactly. Thanks, Luca. Also, when you have bad internet connection, you can put the phone in airplane mode before you start the scan. So the whole solution works also without internet. As soon as you have internet again afterwards, Metaroom will try to upload the scans. This can be an hour later, for example. So that's no problem. Everything is stored on the phone until it's uploaded securely. So in general, we can see three different types of scans. That's the single room. Here you can see it on the left side. That's the easiest one. So you just do one scan circle basically in one room, and then you start and stop the section and you are done. What already becomes a little bit more, let's say, where you need maybe a little bit more experience is if you go into multi-room, because then you change from one room to another, and specifically the movement of changing through the door needs some, let's say, best practice that we will show you today, how to do it in the perfect way. And the third case we can see on the field is the so-called large space or large environment. So in this case, you can use multiple scan sections that can and should be overlapping to build up a room that is way larger than we can summarize in one single section. we will also show you to do this today. I mentioned it before, after every successful scan, you can open, edit, and export our results in the Metaroom workspace in the web app. Here you can see a picture of it. There will be another webinar, and hopefully we will see many of you again there, where we focus more on this side. There's a lot of help content already on our homepage, a lot of education videos we provide also on this, but we will jump into this in more details in another webinar. So now let's do some hands-on. Let's start the scan.
Let's get it on.
So the first section is a small office room here, and we just move the device a little bit, and we can see 3 helping UI elements popping up. The first thing we see, the white lines that help us to identify what has already been captured. We also see on the bottom of the screen the so-called puppet house. So this also represents the assets we have already successfully identified. And on the right side, we can see a color palette. And this color palette is connected to the right lower button, the snapshots. So we can basically give snapshots already a color during the scan. In this case, the color green is pre-selected. So we just move around. That's the simplest case to scan one single room. We can see the storage is identified automatically. The window is identified automatically. And the walls, obviously, the floor. We just move around until the puppet house is complete.
We already got a quick glimpse before at the tracking assistant, more on that later.
Thanks, Luca. And here we can already see that the white lines are not exactly in the measurements of the storage. But that's no problem, as everything we see here in this live scene is just for user guidance. It's not the final scan result. So just don't focus too much if the white lines are really fitting exactly, because in the post-processing we are doing, we are fine-tuning the models. Now with our first room successfully scanned, and Luca will jump on with some more details on what we have seen right now.
Exactly. So on this review screen, you can already see like all the captured objects that have been automatically detected, and also use this to ensure that you captured everything. So a quick summary of what we just did. So we scanned a simple room. Remember to end the section where you started it in order to ensure that you captured everything. The puppet house and the white lines are not the final model. So keep this in mind. Even if they don't match 100%, we improve the model afterwards in the post-processing. Yeah, as I mentioned, check the model preview in order to ensure that that all is here that you wanted to capture. And that's it basically for the first room.
Thanks, Luca. Now we have 2 options. You can see on the bottom of the screen, you could do a rescan, you can do add section, or you can finish the scan. In this case, we want to add another section. So we click on the plus, and we leave the room.
We go into this new relocation mode that helps you transition between the rooms now.
And this is one very important best practice here. So you can see during moving into the second room, we try not to focus on the door that will be moving soon, but before we start the next section, we show the phone basically the area around. So we don't get too close to the door, because sometimes people put the phone into the trouser or put the phone too close on the door, but this can lead to tracking problems. So we try to give the phone always a good picture of the world around. And here you can see the perfect movement. We go backwards into the room when the door is already open. Here, the process starts again. So we can see the white lines, we can see the puppet house, and we just repeat what we have done before. Also, the assets are automatically recognized, but not all of them. And we will soon see how we can also add the so-called snapshots for later processing in our workspace. So if you are focused on interior work, or if you are an electrician, then maybe this snapshot here, this snapshot of the socket and the light switch could be of interest for you. So we just do additional snapshots on these two assets that have not been detected automatically. And after finishing the second scan section, we can already see these two green snapshots here that are representing the socket and the light switch. Also, here we can see in this pink color all of the new elements we added in the second scan segment. And everything that is in white here is coming from the first scan segment, so basically the right room. The orientation of the two rooms, this was done automatically by our solution.
Exactly. So the alignment of both sections happens automatically with our solution because there is always the tracking running in the background. So the device always needs to know how it moved, where it is in the scene, and this allows for combining multiple sections into a larger model, as we have seen right now. So just to summarize what we saw now in the second room, we clicked. In the old room, we started with clicking plus to add a new section, clicking the plus button. Then we came into this new relocation screen, which helps you transition between rooms. Remember here not to cover the sensor and cameras, since, as mentioned, tracking is always running in the background. We also showed you the first example of snapshots. So with snapshots, basically, you can capture details in your environment which are interesting for you. In this case, we captured a light switch and a power socket, and it's very easy. Just aim the crosshair at the object you want to capture or at the part of the environment you want to capture, press the snapshot button, and that's it.
Now, let's move into our third room. So again, we are in this relocation mode after clicking the next scan section. We are going into our third room. And when we are in the center of the third room, we click on capture.
When we found the new starting position, right.
So we continue what we have done before. And I quickly want to focus on the tracking assistant. You probably have seen this already. This is a kind of a co-pilot or an assistant that helps you getting a good scan result. It's in the center of the screen and it pops up if there is a tracking problem, and it tells you to slow down or even to stop. We just have seen this here. When we move the device a little bit too fast, it tells us to wait. And then if we hold it still, it again tells us to wait a little bit longer. And then we receive the green message. We can continue the scan again.
So you receive precise on-screen instructions what to do to help the tracking regain a stable state.
We have invested a tremendous amount of energy into this system in the background, because we have seen in a large environment, it's very difficult for users to understand what means bad tracking, when does tracking become bad. So this is a really great feature that is always on your side, helping you to get consistent, good scan results, even in large environments.
First, you needed a lot of experience to capture such environments, but now it's much easier and much easier to do. And also for beginners, you can get a very good scan result with this assistant.
So after scanning the geometry, we focus on the details of the room. In this case, we want to capture the radiators, for example, for heating sanitary or energy consultants. And we open the color palette and we pick the color blue and just mark the two radiators here.
So quick tip in between, try to fit the whole object on one image. This always works best for post-processing later.
Also here, this is a fine geometry element that can be reconstructed later in our Metaroom workspace. So also here, we take a snapshot in the orange color.
To capture the windowsill and basically be able to remodel it later.
So a lot of snapshots here, huh?
Also what you see here, the tracking indicator or the tracking again got problems with the glass. So glass is always problematic for the lidar technology. And we saw that we still were able to capture snapshots. It's not a problem, it just warns you, watch out, tracking is having problems.
So now we have the third snapshot category, and this is now the yellow color. So we want also to later reconstruct the existing luminaires on the ceiling. So we use again the snapshot feature to capture this for our later rework. 4 ceiling lamps here. Yeah, and then basically we have our third room captured. So maybe that's an interesting situation here, because we can see we have captured our first 2 rooms, and then this third room, and then there is a space between. That's our social area here. And we did not add a scan section for this area between. We will do it now, but we can still see that the distance between these 2 rooms is correct. So even if you are relocating, our app measures the space and understands the distance between rooms. So it's not necessary to add the scan section always directly after the next one. You can also relocate to other rooms.
Yeah, quick summary again. In this case, because it's a more complex room that we want to capture with multiple snapshots, we selected the strategy of first capturing the geometry of the room and afterwards focusing on the snapshot. This helps when you want to capture a lot of different objects. Remember, first geometry and then the snapshots, and you get a good result with that. Also, we now saw the color palette for changing snapshots. This can be used however you like. Just think about it maybe before. During the scan is often a bad point in time. You can use it to already categorize and find specific objects faster. Tracking assistant, we explained a little bit here how it also worked. So tracking is always running in the background and is ensuring that you get a good, correct and cohesive model. And here we saw some examples how it will indicate you, how it will guide you to ensure this stable tracking throughout the scan.
Yeah, thanks, Luca. Let's continue our scan here. I forgot something, huh?
Oh yeah,
snapshot notes.
Snapshot notes, yeah. So snapshots, you can not only capture specific locations in your environment, but you can also add notes and so for details that might not be visible on the picture, for example. And so you can enrich this information already here, also for later for the workspace to help you work with the data.
You can also see it here in the video that you can open every snapshot you have done in this room, and you can add notes as Luca mentioned it right now. You can use voice notes and also type in text. So thanks to Henrik's good preparation, there is no chance for us to forget something. So next scan section. We are moving now in the space between the rooms we have scanned. And we do something really bad. We cover the camera with our hands. So we kind of produce a tracking error. And this typically takes 10 to 20 seconds. We can see it tells us tracking is lost. And we quickly want to hover around the reasons for that. So tracking loss can be coming from covering the camera, very low light conditions, so if it's dark, rapid movement, and homogeneous surfaces. So the tracking indicator will always help you to not run into this, but there are situations where this can happen. So what can we do if this happens? You can see two options on the lower end of the screen. You can finish the section. That's the last option there. This means everything you have captured until there will be booked into the model that existed before, or you can try to recover the tracking. And this is exactly what we are doing now. So if we click recover tracking, it will show us exactly the moment where the tracking was lost. And this picture helps us in going back to this situation. And we are doing this right now here.
Exactly, it helps you find back to a position where the tracking was stable. And now we see, even though we didn't move exactly to this position, tracking was already able to recover.
It's more like a hint of the area that was good in tracking. And we just show you where you have to move back to basically link into the tracking.
Yeah, as next, we want to show you like what happens if you didn't capture an area to the full extent. So if you already finished a section without it being complete. So here we can see that we scanned just a few walls and are missing some parts. And here we also have different possibilities of how to react to this behavior. So basically we can either rescan the whole section, which will start this section from new, or we can just simply add a new section on top where we capture the missing parts, what we are also doing right here. So we try to capture the missing parts of the environment and add it to the model as before. So you can always use these additional sections also to split a room into two different sections. So it doesn't matter as long as you always connect section by section by section. And so you can grow your model into a very large, you can capture very large environments.
So we are moving on from this middle area to the kitchen area, and then we will also speed this up a little bit as we want to produce a really large scan section. You can already see this in the puppet house that the section becomes quite big.
We're speeding up the video here because we don't need to show you everything. You can get the feeling. So the tracking assistant, every time you're having trouble, the environment is challenging, it helps you to ensure a stable result. And when we go around the corner now during the scan, we are soon reaching this section limit. So with one section, you can capture approximately 150 to 200 square meters, also depending a little bit on the environment. And this is just a limitation of the smartphones where we are living on, which just are not able to process more data in one go. But as soon as you finish the section, you can add as many more as you want because the data gets compressed and you can go on with scanning.
Yeah, thanks, Luca. We can now exactly see the result here of this big scan section. So we basically count the size of a scan section, and then we will show that this section is already quite big, and we suggest to finish this section. That's exactly what we are doing here. And we can again see here in the pink area all of the new elements we have identified and completed into the existing model of the 3 rooms we had before.
Exactly. So to recap on this phase of the scan, so we try to show here what happens in the worst case. So in case of a very challenging environment, if in case of problems with the tracking and so on. So be assured, no worries here, we have you covered. You can always go back to a state where you can continue. So the tracking assistant also here helps you in finding positions, going back to known locations, just to get a good result in the end. Even if we had complete tracking loss, and this is really the worst case where the device loses all its orientation in the environment, we can still go back and get a good result afterwards. Just follow the on-screen instructions. When the tracking assistant tells you to wait, you should wait until it gives you a go, or in the worst case, it shows you go back to an already scanned area. We also showed you what happens if you might have forgot something, to scan something. So you basically end up with missing elements in the model. Just either rescan the whole section or just add a new section containing the new models, and everything will be merged together. We also showed you the section limit warning or pop-up. This ensures that all the data can still be captured in one section, and also helps you decide when to stop a section and start a new one.
Great. So let's continue our scan, and we go into, let's call them super small rooms. So first you would say, or I think that would be the assumption that small rooms are easier to scan, but it's exactly the opposite. So for smaller rooms, take a little bit more time to capture everything, as the technology relies a little bit on a distance. So typically when you are too close to a wall, then we show you to go away a little bit, but that's simply not possible in these small rooms. For here, in this example, that's a restroom. Obviously, you cannot get more distance because the room is not bigger than it is. Also here, we try to divide even the small area here into 3 rooms. So it's the entrance of the restroom, and then it's basically the toilet itself. So we even do a scan section for the toilet room that is like maybe 2 square meters, because this gives you a better result. So always try to do at least one scan section for every single room, even in this tiny environment.
You can see now that the tracking is always running in the background, so even in the review screen. And in this very, very small room, you can see that the tracking assistant is really having a hard time. But this is also not a problem. Just go on with the scanning. You see that the white lines and the objects are still detected. As soon as you go back to a spot where it is able to recover, everything is good and the model is fine. So you can see here we finish scanning the room. So this is very challenging if you remember the bullet points before. So plane walls, plane surfaces, reflecting surfaces, very close distances. So these are it's really a challenging environment. And here now the new feature of the tracking assistant helps you capturing even those very challenging environments where you first needed lots and lots of experience to capture them properly.
You can already hear that Luca and myself, we are tracking assistant fans. No, I really think it's a game changer to get robust scans, and we have made incredibly good results also in challenging and big environments here.
Short summary of what we just saw. So confined spaces are always very challenging. The tracking assistant strikes faster in this case, but in this case, it also helps you to capture a good scan, to capture good rooms or good sections. Again, a recap, we see here what causes problems. Basically uniform walls, plain structures, repeating structures like tiles, reflective surfaces are always a challenge for the technology. This is now shown directly to you as a user by the tracking assistant, and it covers you again to master these challenges.
Okay, then let's go into our next room. That's again a very small room. So we go out.
It's actually our server room, so don't look too close.
So we go in here and we can again see it takes a little bit longer until tracking is stable, and also until the white lines are popping up. So that's typically 1 to 2 seconds. Now here, maybe it's 3 to 4 seconds. Just give it a little bit more time to initialize, to understand the world around it. We again take another snapshot here of the technical building environment. So a lot of equipment here that could be snapshotted, like cables, tubes, servers, climate control.
That is not recognized automatically, basically. But with our solution, you can still capture everything in the workspace afterwards and add it to your model. Yeah, we see here also the white lines help you to complete the room and ensure that everything was captured, but they're just an indication for the moment. The precise measurements will be then computed later.
Okay, now we've done a part of this floor, and what we do now is we go into the next floor. So we change the floor and we move to the stair area here. We go outside. Also here we can see tracking indicator is popping up a little bit because everything is white. There is not much difference in the colors. So in these environments, the tracking indicator will kindly ask you to slow down a little bit. And this helps a lot to get these stable results, because earlier we had no option to show this to the user. But since last Friday, we do have.
Quick tip here as well, try to capture, so the tracking indicator can recover tracking in corners, so where you have like unique properties of the environment. So this helps recovering the tracking faster.
Now, if we change the floor, the connection between them is logically the stairs. So we can't go with the elevator because then we will obviously lose tracking. So we will always take the stairs here. And that's, I think, an important fact to understand, that every scan only has one floor. So what we do here is we start with the floor we have already on the lower floor, and then we go up the stairs. We always try to scan the stairs from the bottom to the upside. So we always go the way we see it here in the video. And what we can also see here in the white lines is that they basically go down to the lower level. So we don't get a new floor here. So what we do here is we end the scan section at the end of the stairs.
Exactly, we go up to the second floor and end the section there to then start a new one. And this will tell our solution, okay, now I have an elevation distance, I need to start a new floor here.
You could scan the floor and the stairs and the next floor in 3 scan segments or in 2. We have no strong
up to you
opinion on that or experience on that.
It's just important to start a new section in the top floor. What we are doing right now here.
Now we can also quickly see our star here in the video, Sefji, our customer success manager, who is doing all this great work.
Yeah, really great scan that she achieved here. Yeah, we can see we finish scanning this section. And now we can already see in the preview, we get the second floor up on the stairs, and we also get a placeholder for the stair itself. So it just has 5 steps in here, but in the background we capture much more data that can also be processed in the workspace later. Quick summary of what we saw just now. So technical building equipment, also rooms full of stuff can be captured. Just use snapshots here for your own orientation to find interesting parts of the environment later in the processing of the data much faster. Tight spaces, as Martin mentioned, give the solution a little bit more time to figure out the environment, to be able to grab onto unique points of it, so that the tracking is stable also here. Again, the tracking assistant has you covered and tells you what to do. Stairs, we had the first example of stairs in here. Remember, always start a new section when you capture stairs, at least at the top of the floor, but you also can capture the stairs in a separate section, so that's no harm there.
Okay, that's the last part of our scan here. now we go into the editing. So we have now two possibilities here. We could finish the scan if we are already happy, or we could edit the scan with some simple editing possibilities. So one editing possibility is to change an asset class, for example, to go from a door to a window, or we can also delete assets that we don't want to have in the final reconstruction. And this is exactly what we are doing here. There was this it was identified as a door here. Basically, it's a multi-segment window with only a part of it is a door, but it's very difficult to say if it's a door or a window. I could not even do it as a human. So it identified here a door, but probably it's more like a window. So we can click on this door and we can use the replace button on the lower left end of the screen, and we just replace it here with a window.
Replace the type, and this also works for furniture objects that have been detected. So if something is misdetected, you can still change the type here. And same, the second functionality that we have here, so simple editing functions, is removing objects. We see here on one wall that the second door was detected where there was none, and in this case we simply remove it. You can also use this to remove misdetected walls and other elements that might not be of interest to your scan. You can already remove them here.
So I think we already deleted a door here. That was, I think that it looks like a door, but it's also a window. So we just deleted the asset here. It's always a good idea to take a close look on the model at the end, because as Luca mentioned before, you can use the add scan section to even go back to somewhere else and rescan something or add new information to a room we have done before. So it's still a living, active model, and we can again go somewhere we have already been and optimize the model there. So we are very sure we have everything we need for our later Metaroom workspace and the export that comes afterwards.
Exactly, so it wouldn't be a problem if you go back to the first room and capture some snapshots there.
Yeah, now we gave it a name and we start the upload process. We can see that everything that follows then will be our second component, the Metaroom workspace. And yeah, so the first part here of the scan and the editing is basically covered.
Again, recapping this last section, when opening doors, always hold the device steady and as best in the opposite direction, so showing it more of the environment to ensure that it is then afterwards better able to get stable tracking back. Stairs, start a new section to capture the stairs and also on the upper floor, very important. And then the new floor is automatically recognized by our solution. Editing, very important. So at the end of your scan, make sure to check the model if everything is fine, if something is missing. Now you have the chance to, you're still on site, you can still capture things, also delete objects, exchange objects at the end of your scan before the upload.
Yeah, thanks, Luca. Before we go into the FAQ and your questions, we want to mention that there will be another webinar that is focused on how to scan and reconstruct complex ceilings. And I know this is already burning some under the nails, because also we see some questions around that. We can quickly hover around it today too, but really digging into this in more detail, this will be the next webinar you can see here. Okay, so that was the quick scan guide of the office scan we have done here. We are now happy to jump into your questions. And yeah, let's take a look what we have there, huh?
Yeah, we jump right into the Q&A session. So we already got some questions from Kim Paulo Solis. We also have properties, sorry, wrong question. What is the best way, from Thomas Fritters, what is the best way to deal with rooms that have slightly curved walls or walls that are not 90-degree angle?
Yeah.
So also here, we are capturing all the data in the background, so that the 3D model that you see is just an automatically generated one. This, we know of it, has some limitations. For example, straight walls, just one floor per story, doesn't support curved walls. So we're always working on this also to improve it. But this is like a lot of work, and to enable more complex geometry here. In the background, we capture much more details with our scanning app, and these can be reconstructed in our workspace afterwards. But more on that in the next webinar.
Maybe I can also add here that if the walls are not 90 degrees, but for example 80 degrees, we can also capture polygonal walls.
Yeah.
So that's no problem. Also, when it comes to the ceiling, if it's slightly angled, or I think you've also seen in the video that the ceiling we have here, it has I think it's for the airflow management. We have
a recessed ceiling, basically.
A recessed ceiling, yeah. It's also possible to capture slightly more complex geometry. But as Luca has mentioned, there are geometries we can only reconstruct in the Metaroom workspace in the second component.
So in the interaction between like the user, the expert user, and our AI tools that help you also here efficiently capture those details and bring them into your workflow.
Like also a good snapshot of such a situation will help to get really a good 3D data of this area to later work on it.
Definitely, that's a good point, yes. So I hope we could answer this question to a good degree. So let's go to the next questions. Are we going to receive a recording of this webinar? Of course you will.
Yes.
Thanks, Henrik already answered the question here in the chat. So let's see new questions. Great webinar, thank you, Chris Anderson. Is there a max height for the scan? For example, if we measure a warehouse.
Yeah, that's a good one. So in fact, the sensor range is at around 5 to 6 meters. So what basically that's the distance we can see. What we have seen in some markets is that people use selfie sticks to extend this. So you could use a 3-meter selfie stick, and then we are not 2 meters, but so let's assume we are. Then you have 3 meters of the selfie stick. You have 2 meters of the person that is holding that device, and then with the range of the sensor, you could extend it up to 10 meters. But everything that is more far away is not possible to capture.
Yeah, but it's also quite easy now. So if it depends like on the environment you want to capture. If it's just a simple ceiling that you have that is, for example, 15 meters high, you can use our solution to capture the outline of the room, and then just write down the height of the ceiling you want to do, and then reconstruct it afterwards in the application that you are using. So we really try to focus on bringing the data to third-party applications the best way possible, so that it's also fully editable and can be worked on properly there. So this also is always a way to capture higher ceilings if they are out of range of the device. Yeah, let's go to the next question from Batisrai Guti. Are you still working on the digital twin model? Yes, like we mentioned before, we are always working to improve this automatically recognized geometry model, so the walls, doors, windows, and so on. But this is just one part of our solution. In the workspace, we are offering possibilities where you, with your expert knowledge, can enrich and enhance a model with exactly the details and objects that you need. Next question. Does different iPhones and iPad will have different scanning results? Will a high memory iPhone can scan more than a low memory iPhone?
So basically, the memory plays close to no role when it comes to performance. What we do see is that coming from iPhone 12 Pro now up to iPhone 16 Pro, that the sensors that Apple builds in hardware, they are just getting better and better every generation. So today we would recommend to every user to use iPhone 15 or 16 Pro. There was also quite a big jump, I think, from iPhone, was it 13 to 14 Pro?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
13
the
to
camera
14 Pro.
system improved a lot there, and this helps stabilizing tracking and making such scans possible. But also here now with the new tracking assistant, it's much easier to capture also more complex scans with older devices.
Also we have seen that in general, in all of the data we have captured, that the iPhone is bringing slightly more stable results than the iPad. Yeah, to speak very frankly here, we have not completely identified why this is the reason. Maybe it's also a little bit connected to the handling, that with a phone you're maybe, you move the phone in a different way than an iPad. So that could be one of the reasons. We also know that the main camera upgrade in the iPad was never done, as it was in the phones. So that to bring it down to a very simple answer, so we recommend an iPhone Pro 15 or an iPhone Pro 16 if you really want to have the best scan experience.
Yes, so in terms of accuracy and also in terms of size of the scans, also you don't want to drag around an iPad all the time if you're scanning a whole building. So or you get strong muscles. So
you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger after scanning.
Yeah, that's true. So handling is much better with the iPhone as well. So I don't see any more questions here. Let's have a look in the chat if something popped up there. No. Yeah, now we got a new question. Is there any way to get more clear texture on the 3D model? Are you going to have more updates on that part? That's a good one. The texture obviously depends on how well you scanned the different surfaces. So in this case, if you're interested on the texture, try to go over a wall even twice or 3 times during your scan. This does not hurt, basically. But obviously what we are also working on is like improving the textures and so on. This is always the focus also of R&D.
What I would like to say here is that I think if the data is good that we can capture, also the texture is quite good. What we want to improve is the way we communicate to the user the amount of captured textures. So today you go in a room and you see the white lines, but it doesn't give you really feedback on what textures did you capture. You may remember the second room we have scanned, and Luca mentioned that we have virtually divided this in two processes. First, we scanned the room using the white lines, and then again we did another round in the room, and we took the snapshots. So we are thinking about a new mode after every room to say, help me optimize textures, and then we could show for this room basically what is missing, and then you just go there and kind of paint it digitally, so you have a complete texture. Also for us today, it's extremely difficult to understand what exactly have I captured in terms of texture. In terms of geometry, it's easy because you see it in the puppet house and in the white lines. So obviously this is something we have to solve. Also, we are working on improving textures, but the biggest impact is that you have basically the data available. So you need to capture it.
Yes, so that's a good point. Capture areas multiple times also helps improving. But we are thinking about like new scan modes and so on. Here, your feedback is very valuable to us. We're listening to it, and we are never standing still. We're always improving our solution.
There is also a question here from Peter. Yeah, here.
Yeah, oh, we missed that one. Integration to dialogues. Are all elements like windows, floors, etc. registered to be integrated in dialogues and to be edited there as well if needed?
So the first part is I think it's working like that today. We use a intelligent model that we hand over to Dialux using IFC. And when it comes to editing, I'm not quite sure if it's possible to edit geometry in Dialux.
I'm also not 100% sure. So what I know is that you can like add a ceiling, a more complex ceiling in Dialux.
Yeah.
That's also a teaser for the next webinar, maybe what will be handled there. But I'm also not 100% sure how much modification of the geometry is possible in Dialux.
But everything you have seen in our scan in terms of semantics will be also handed over to Dialux.
Yes. So next question here from Thomas. Are you working on incorporating third-party dedicated scanners to work with your software?
That's a quick one. No. And let me quickly explain why. So everything we do tries to help to democratize 3D capture and make it available for as many people as possible. And we truly believe that consumer hardware, in this case phones and tablets, can really help people doing it because they have it always with them. And sometimes you don't even know that you want to do a 3D scan at the customer, but you just have your phone in the pocket and you can do it anytime. So that's the really big advantage of these devices. I mean, never say no, but today we have no plans to do it. And we are fully concentrated on making the Metaroom experience better on phones.
Yes. So next question from Kim Paolo. Are you again, can you again mention or show the next webinar? Thanks, Henrik, he already covered this. Then the next question from Callum. In the online platform, we can take measurements of the model. Is it possible to take measurements of the snapshots without adding it in as an object? For example, allowing measurements to be taken of individual window panes without, yeah, and so on. So basically, taking measurements from snapshots. We already got quite some feedback here on how to get measurements, how to basically, yeah, maybe so. Different users are interested in different measurements. So we already got quite some feedback here and are thinking about offering like a more extended measuring tool, which lets you interact with the data that we capture much more freely, and also where you can, for example, save special measurements that you are interested in. But this is on a roadmap and yeah, will be there in the future. Next question from Kim. Is there a way to filter out snapshots by color coding? For our workflow, we do many snapshots to capture as much as we can within an area.
Isn't that coming?
It's already there.
It's already there. Okay, not even better.
It's already in the workspace. Like you have a small search bar at the top on the left side, at the top of the model hierarchy, and there you can, for example, write in the snapshot color, and it will filter the model tree based on the snapshot color and just show you those. So you can select them and go over them.
Maybe we can also add a very small teaser here. We are working on a way to even search for the content of snapshots. So like we understand the picture that is linked to the snapshot. That will definitely also help to work faster with our whole solution. Yeah.
So next question from Nitish. I'm new at the Metaroom application. My question is, all the things that we scan on Metaroom works online or sending the data to the user to a server? And where is it presented? Does it work online or offline?
So you can scan offline, and then as soon as you go online, we will upload the scan to AWS Cloud here in Germany. and then it will be calculated to a precise, textured, and intelligent model. And this can be then opened in your web browser using our Metaroom workspace. So that's basically a website. And here you can interact with the model, and then from there you can export it into more than 20 powerful formats like Dialux we've heard already, or Revit format.
Yes, so no more questions for now. But I think also time-wise, we had a good.
It's on point. One popped in.
One more question.
Yes.
What about columns from Marco? Why can't they be recognized? Like, let's say, furniture. I always have to build my columns from snapshots.
I let you this difficult question.
The problem here is just a limitation of this automatically generated geometry model.
Yeah.
Here we just try to to first target the like 80% or 90% of existing geometry, and in those cases, like we focused on capturing walls, ceilings, so walls, floors, doors, windows, and some objects, some furniture objects. This will improve in the future. And we're working on it as well. So columns in this case are very, very special type of object because they're not furniture.
Yeah.
They're somehow part of the room geometry, and they are more difficult to handle compared to walls because you don't see them just from one side. So you don't see just the surface from one side, but you see it from all sides oftentimes, and this is more complex to process.
But we totally understand and know that this is a missing feature. And it's on the very, very top of the list.
Yeah. There are also some questions in the chat. Can you import from Emilia? Can you import this model in SketchUp or Revit?
Yes, both formats work.
We have two exports there that cover you here. Next question from EM Light. Is it not yet possible to edit geometry in Dialux Evo? It will be tonight. It will be toit. Tough. Tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think, but I don't want to talk about Dialux strategy here. But I think what is the workflow when it comes to building information model, that you would have kind of a Revit or the IFC data holder in the center, and then from there you go to Dialux, and then after light planning you would go back into Revit, for example. So I think the strategy here is that you don't want to make the geometry editable. So I think it would be possible to edit geometry in Dialux, but today I'm not 100% sure if they allow it. That's my understanding. So we hand over this intelligent model, so it could be edited. That's definitely something we have to also discuss in depth with Dialux, if that's something we should look into together to make this available. Because we do understand in some cases you have complex ceilings, or you want to change the geometry inside Dialux, and then if that's kind of restricted, it's not the best way to solve it.
Yes, so that was it with questions from the chat. Maybe another one popped up. Yes, in the Q&A section from Kim Paula again. Can you quickly show how to filter out using the color coding of the snapshots? Appreciate it.
I would say that we will send you a screenshot of that after the webinar, if that's okay for you.
Yes, I think we can go on with the next question.
Yep.
Anyway, Kim, if you want to know more, we're always happy to help you. Just let us know, contact either Henrik or one of us, and then we can help you there. Next question from Nitish. does that work like if I create a multi-floor model, and how do I convert and use it to 2D and make that model work with AutoCAD or something like creating the 2D model?
So everything you write here works. You could create a multi-room, multi-floor model, and then if you export this using our Metaroom workspace, then for every floor, you will get, for example, a DXF file that can then be imported to your AutoCAD software. Or if you go into a 3D format, then we will pack everything we have in this building into one file.
It depends on the export, basically. So for 2D files, we handle it floor by floor, and you get a file for each floor in your model. So.
Okay, so I think we are a little bit over time, but it was very enjoyable and valuable to get in these questions with you together. So yeah, last but not least, we want to say thank you. I also want to say thank you to Luca that jumped in on short notice here. And yeah, we wish everyone here a great end of the week. And we would be very happy if you give us a try. I think we have a really great product, especially now with the tracking assistant that gives you robust scans in all environments. And yeah, then I would say we wish you here a great week and see you on the next webinar.
See you on the next one. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye.